Today I'm meeting with Dale Cleaver, CEO of Guide Dogs New South Wales and ACT. Welcome to the Leadership Series, Dale.
Thanks, Liska. It's great to be here too.
I'm delighted. We've known each other a long time and we've both been involved in the not-for-profit, for-purpose sector in different facets. I've come back to Beaumont People, as you know, after 3 years, and I've certainly observed some changes. So I'm really keen to start our conversation with, over the course of your career in the for-purpose sector, what's changed, and probably importantly, what hasn't changed?
Yeah, a lot has changed. I've been in the sector really now for 40 years.
40 years?
40 years. And, you know, as starting as that nurse assistant, as that care worker, through to a CEO, and I can see so much has changed, but a lot hasn't. And as a CEO, in my 26th year as CEO, across different sectors and organisations, I'd say what hasn't changed is the need to focus on the ambitions and what the organisation stands for in terms of its purpose. So I think that hasn't changed. I think if you like, people wanting to make a difference and wanting to make a difference in people's lives hasn't changed. Those are really strong. I think the discretionary effort that people in our sector actually put in is as strong as it was back then. I think the other one is the engagement of stakeholders and how important your stakeholders are. They're your customers, your donors, your staff, they're your board, they're the community. That hasn't changed, but a lot has too.
Do you want to share some thoughts on what has changed?
Yeah. I mean, I think some of them and most of them are really positive.
Oh, good. We like that.
I think the not-for-profit sector these days, we're very focused and very people-centred. You know, we want to do great stuff, but it's just not about making us feel good. It's about that people-centredness, about how do we engage people who are experiencing some disadvantage or who need our support? How do we engage them in the best possible solutions? And I talk about it partnering with rather than doing to. So I think across many organisations that I see, that focus and that partnership with your clients and with your donors has been a significant positive shift. The other thing I notice is an integration of some of the commercial thinking in the not-for-profit sector. So I think we're starting to see a really nice blend of some of those commercial principles without losing the heart of what a not-for-profit organisation is actually there to do. And I'm seeing very difference in generational makeup in organisations. So our staff and volunteers, for example, here today, we have baby boomers all the way through to Z Gen in both our staff and in our volunteers. And I think increasingly we'll see that in board tables, hopefully as well.
Hopefully. Well, that's a lovely segue to my next question that I have. It's no secret to anybody involved in the for-purpose sector that the relationship between the CEO and the board, and in particular the chair, is crucial. So why do you think that relationship is important? And secondly, how do you nurture the connection with the chair?
The partnership between a CEO and a chair is critical. I've worked with a number, and some of those have been remunerated boards, some of those haven't. What I would say is each one of those has been different. There is not one single one that I say with the same. I've worked with chairs who are aspiring and ambitious, highly driven around the cause. There are others who would see themselves as statements for a period of time and see their role as facilitator in the organisation. So what I'd say is there's been some that have provided a CEO with a lot of freedom, and there are others that want to tightly control that relationship. I think each of those occasions, and I didn't necessarily do that well in the first couple, I'll be honest in saying. And I think that experience made me want to step back. And I think what I also did a lot of was observing, before my first CEO role, I saw a number of CEOs who suddenly left.
Suddenly
Suddenly left. And that's one of the things I would say, you know, let's be realistic in organisations. If that relationship is not working, someone has to go. I don't think I've seen a CEO go yet, as a chair go, rather.
No, I would agree with you on that one. I think so. Then how do you navigate that change of style?
The first step is to actually recognise there is going to be a change. So it's easy to fall in the assumption of I'll just carry on the way that I am. You almost need to reset
Yep.
and realise this is a completely new job potentially because this role is critical and I need to sit down and understand what the chair's ambitions are, ideally what drives and motivates them, how they like to work, and what good looks
like for
them.
It's almost like a reverse interview, isn't
Correct. Yeah. But can I say, if you don't get that, it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And I would say that probably many times I've probably spent more time with my chair than I have with some of my friends at different points in my career.
Spoken
out of
like
necessity.
a true CEO,
Yeah.
Dale. You know, in the first part of your opening remarks, you commented on that sort of blend between some of the commercial principles, mission and margin, that to put it in short. So the organisation has recently appointed Marissa Pace, congratulations, as Guide Dog's new Chief Marketing and Philanthropy Officer, and she's had a wonderfully successful career in sports marketing.
Yes.
So I'm keen to hear what sort of advice will you be sharing with her as she transitions into a new sector and a new organisation?
Before I do that, there's probably a couple of things I'd say around recruitment of executives in my experience generally. There's often a way of what I call the push and a pull effect. Whereas you advertise a role, you go through an interview process, and it's often about the talent that someone's bringing to the table. And do you make the decision to go with the known and the comfortable? Or are you in a situation as an organisation and confidence in yourself that you're actually prepared to do and try something different? I think one of the challenges in the not-for-profit sector is how risk-adverse are we? And an organisation can't grow and evolve without some level of risk-taking, calculated, of course.
No, I agree. And then this is where that partnership and being in lockstep with your board and your chair is really important because you both need to have the same risk appetite.
So in the case of someone like Marissa, who I'm really proud to have you with us today, I had those conversations with my chair and said, I've got a great roundup of people that I'm meeting, talent that I've probably never seen before in my career. It's going to be a tough call, but I'm thinking it's time to do something different. And she went, I get it. And I said, so this is going to raise some questions with my team and with my fundraising staff. And I suspect there might be some board members that would raise that question as well if I was sitting where they were. And that's often the thing with boards I try and do, is try and actually, because I sit on boards, think about what it's like being on the side of the table. So one of her roles as chair was to talk with a couple of key influencers on our board about what we're doing. So in recruiting that kind of difference in role, it's identifying the talent and the transferable skills and thinking a bit differently, because in some industries, we tend to do a lot of the same. And we rely on 90% of our income every year coming from fundraising activity. And if we don't keep pushing ourselves to think differently, we are in danger of
going backwards. Yeah. So what advice did you
give Marissa?
Yeah.
The first one I said was, I really see your skills as transferable, and I'd like you to look at our work and identify where that transferability is. I can see it, but when you get in the job, I'd like you to actually prioritise that. I'm keen to know what your 90-day plan is. I think that's really important, and actually being real with the people you're going to be leading and supporting. And so part of that conversation with her was, I said, I need you to actually meet our stakeholders, our donors, our board members, our staff, and understand who we are and what we're about in a deeper sense than you might get in an interview. But what I don't want you to do is to lose all of those great things that you've actually gained in your commercial experience. And to challenge us, and for me to actually have conversations with my fundraising team, because that's my role, is about why I made that selection and what I'm seeking from that. And the same with my executive, because it wasn't an obvious choice.
And I think that also talks to the culture that you've built in an organisation, that it's safe enough to hire different and to test thinking, and that it's okay both ways. to test thinking as well.
And of course, you know, I feel very confident about this decision. I have made some decisions in the past that haven't worked. And, you know, I like to also demonstrate to our people that sometimes you don't get it right. And it's happened in my career. And probably the lessons I've learned around that is rather than try and polish over it, actually be open about it.
Because then it encourages people to take risks.
Absolutely.
Which is, to your point, how you innovate and grow, which, as we know, is what the sector needs to do to continue evolving.
They do. And I think great boards, great chairs also want to support you on that too. And part of your role there is to also build that confidence.
Yeah. So Dale, I'm really keen to understand what's tested you or challenged you in your leadership journey over the years.
I think there's a couple. I think my first CEO role was probably one of my most challenging because I'd worked hard to achieve and secure that role. And there's that moment you go, oh, I've made it. Well, actually, that's only the beginning.
You just started.
You just started. And all the things that as a senior manager that I thought I knew would be great as a CEO, in fact, were not. You know, I think I would have described myself as a self-confessed micromanager. And when you're needing to lead executive teams, it doesn't work. So those skills around influencing, around setting direction, allowing others to make mistakes, building good culture, were quite significant learning periods for me. So I think that was probably one of my significant first ones.
And that still influences you today?
Today. And that journey of learning never stops. The minute we stop learning as CEOs and leaders, despite our years of experience, you don't ever know it all. It doesn't ever stop. I think another one would be I was an interim when I was part of Red Cross. I was CEO in South Australia. We became one national organisation. I was the interim new national CEO.
Oh, that's a brave job in
Yep.
a newly single federated entity.
Yep. It was an interesting time, and I was leading what were my peers.
Right.
During probably one of the world's most significant crises, which was the tsunami appeal back in 2024 from memory, I think that was. And we'd just been through a previous major media crisis. And as I remember the staff looking at me going, how are we going to respond to this? We've just been through this hard time. And I remember thinking, this is not what I expected I was going to be doing for an interim, and being interviewed by one of the major television groups going, why should we trust you with raising funds for this? And I had to go back to what were our values as an organisation, our authenticity, and what we learnt from the experience and other challenges we'd had. So being able to lead people during a period of significant change, at the same time your organisation has a crisis. And I think what I learnt from that is that we need adaptable leadership. And what I mean by that is all those things I talked about around engaging people, supporting people. If you're in a crisis, as a leader, sometimes you're going to actually need to be more directional, more specific, very concrete, build confidence, allocate duties. You're down to those details in a crisis, and identifying what to do when you come out of the crisis. So I think that would probably have been my second one. And my third one was when I did a very significant merger of a health organisation with another, and thinking about the legacy. I could continue in a role as a CEO for a number of years and we could just get along and do some good work and stuff. But if I looked at that 10 years out in the funding model, I could see we weren't going to survive.
Right.
And that whilst we had great staff, great services, we were a great brand, we were never going to be what we could be by going it alone. So I was part of a quick process of where we went through looking at identification of potential partners, mergers, and we found a great partner to do that. But I remember the greatest challenge was being able to communicate those benefits and the challenges for other staff and stakeholders in that merger.
And that's so topical because mergers and acquisitions are words you never really heard in the for-purpose sector.
No.
And now mergers and acquisitions, it's actually quite topical.
It is, and I think we'll see more.
Yeah.
I think what I learned from that exercise of just around mergers was how important culture alignment is.
Yep. Yep.
So I think that was probably one of the critical things. What's the alignment of our future view of what the future could look like?
Yep.
Are we on the same page around directionally where we want to be?
Yeah.
So directionally where we want to be, cultural values, and it's down to how's the CEO going to be appointed and how's the chair going to be appointed.
Well, they're always the $64 million questions.
Sort that out.
Yeah.
And I think you can go a heck of a long way. I think the experience, lessons would be around that one. Sometimes as leaders, it's balancing. We have to make short-term decisions. But I like to think as CEOs and leaders, what we leave is future legacies, and that the work we're involved in setting up or undertaking may not be seen for 5 to 10 years.
Well, that's perfect for my next question, because now you've got time in the seat as a CEO, significant time. If you look back across your career, what are the decisions that you've made that you are most proud of?
I would think my time at Red Cross, being a key influencer in that organisation becoming one national body, was a significant one. And I think the outcomes for our clients were much better as a result of that, and our donors. So I think that one really feels really significant. My time there, I think, modernising the organisation and better reaching our stakeholders was another key factor in that. Tsunami appeal, responding to that really stands out, obviously, as a life moment. I don't think I slept much for about a month. I think following on from that, probably other moments was the merger of Royal District Nursing Service and Silver Chain Group, and coming back to my chair's farewell 10 years later.
Oh, wow.
And seeing 11 years on actually, seeing how much that organisation had grown. Yeah. We were a 700 staff, a very focused service to a 6,000 national body.
Okay.
Felt an incredible moment. Yeah. And being recognised all those years on for being part of that was a really proud moment. I think other moments in other organisations have actually how you actually come from the edge back to financial sustainability. But if I come from a people perspective, across all those organisations, people being at the centre, customers, clients being at the centre, being centred on the client, and building capability in organisations, particularly when you see your people grow, develop, promote change.
And leave.
I mean, there's proud moments. And I think, as I've talked to you about before, I think I'm up to at least 12, 13 CEOs that were on my executive team that then went on to be chief executive officers who've gone on to do amazing work that I go, wow, that's incredible that you've led that. That really feels amazing.
Congratulations. That's exciting. I think we've talked about when you have executives that sit on your team that in some ways are better than you, right? And
you'd hope so in some of those areas.
Because then the whole organisation lifts. The whole organisation lifts.
Yes, I think that one of my reflections on that is that organisations are like a person. They keep changing and evolving and ideally growing. So the executive team and individuals that you might need during one period and phase actually might be different during another. And ideally, people recognise that, or that's talked about and discussed, and that's done in a smooth, considered way. But as a CEO, sometimes you've got to make those hard calls because you are going to grow and develop the organisation. A set of skills might be different during one period to another. And I always like to think that in every change I have to make of an executive, that we've taken another level up on the skills, the experience of an organisation. I'd say the same thing for organisations and sitting on boards. A CEO, isn't there forever. You're there for a period of time and hopefully you create long-term legacies for those that succeed you. But different CEOs are required at different times for different organisations for good reasons.
Wise words. So Dale, we've talked a lot about other organisations, but I think the work that Guide Dogs is doing broadly, but particularly here in New South Wales and the ACT, is exciting. You it's not just about guide dog companions anymore. And, you know, you've deeply invested in technology-led initiatives, really to empower people with low vision and blindness to lead more independent lives. I'm keen to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah. I think, you know, one of the things I'm really incredibly proud of is guide dogs and what our people and what our board have championed in terms of direction. So technology has become an incredible part of it. But what I think is really important at the centre of that is we've gone back and looked at our purpose.
Right, okay.
And our purpose, you know, I'd say a few years back, our focus was on brand and reputation and the dog. Today, fortunately, we're now really focused on how do we create a more inclusive and accessible world for people who have low vision or blindness. That's our purpose. Yeah. That's our reason for being. So the dog is an important part of our work.
The dog.
And it's beautiful. and I'm lucky I have a dog that comes and visits me every day for its treat, and I'm surrounded by dogs. But what motivates me is the difference we are making and will make more in the lives of people who have low vision and blindness.
How has that shifted the conversation with your community and your offerings?
Yeah, it's changed that conversation significantly. Yeah. So number one, the number of people who have lived experience in our organisation has significantly grown, and I mean significantly grown. I would love to think that my successor was someone who had low vision themselves, and I'm really committed to us spending more investment in actually developing people who have lived experience as leaders and managers. I think the other thing that's critical is we think about the disruptors that are coming. So I think if you're involved in leading any not-for-profit, thinking about what are the disruptors coming in your sector, thinking about those globally, think about outside Australia, think about what are some of the things that are happening more broadly and globally. What I find is that the same issues, the same challenges are there. What can you learn? What can you link with? What can you partner with? So if I come to technology as an example, the future, you know, if you think about it, artificial intelligence, meta glasses as one example of guiding people through their community. And we're seeing more of those people in our clients and our staff. AI will be a disruptor, particularly in our part of the disability sector. Driverless cars will be a game changer if you have blindness. You know, the possibility of sitting in a car.
I never thought about that.
Sitting in a car where you're in the front seat, you're picking up your family, your friends. You're not sitting in a taxi telling a driver why, them suggesting to you that if you drank more carrots, you might not have, an issue with your blindness. So these are true stories, and this is what people experience. Driverless cars, not just independence, but you're in control.
Yes.
So things like that are really significant. We are traditionally, quite physical in our training of and support for independence for our clients. But everything from the guide dog and the integration of technology with the use of the guide dog, through to meta glasses, through to the driverless car, through to the technology that we all experience every day in terms of our smartphones, that's just going to keep evolving.
So if you're an organisation that a lot of people still identify as the dog and it's in your name, that innovation, how do you balance that innovation with trust?
Yes. Well, the dog is a great symbolic nature and reality. There's a lot of trust put in that dog.
Yep.
That's the same trust that our donors put in us as well. For me, the role of the dog, it's not an or, it's an and. Okay. So one of the things that I see and I talk to people, and I think it's an important reminder, is that technology is wonderful for it, and I love it, don't get me wrong. Yep. It's part of my everyday, and I love what AI is doing for our lives, and what I think potentially will do, with some safeguards, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But the isolation that sometimes people feel, that social emotional connection keeps growing more and more. And as an organisation, we need to get people not just to where they want to get to, whether that's the station, the shopping centre, the pub, or on a holiday with friends, but what's the connections that people make? How do we support people in the isolation? And if you lose your licence, you get stuck at home, you do not mix with your friends and you're isolated suddenly, that is a significant emotional, psychological impact on your life. That's what our organisation needs to be about. Not just the tools, not just the technology, but how do we actually bring that human element to the connection?
So it's that offering that builds the trust.
Yeah. And the
Right.
dog is central to that.
Yep.
So I can see a future where we'll continue to provide guide dogs to people. It'll be integrated with technology.
Yep.
But the dog isn't just a tool, it provides an emotional connection. And if you sit on a Sydney or any city tram or train, and you see a community's response to that person and that dog, there's a conversation that started. There's an interest that's created and developed. That's how it starts in small ways in terms of that connection. And when we get home and we take that dog off out of its harness, it is a puppy that's giving lots of love, lots of attention, and lots of joy.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you for that. So my final wrap-up question, and we've covered so many things today. You've been in the for-purpose sector when we opened for a long time.
All of my life, almost.
All of your life, right? Grown up in it, so to speak. What's kept you motivated?
People. The two things: how do we make a difference in people's lives to have a better life and a better experience? And the other is seeing people shine, whether that's a staff member, a volunteer, or a donor, and indeed our board who have that proud moment. Those are the things that I feel motivate me. And I think that I always remind myself, if I'm feeling a bit flat, like being a CEO is hard work and it's alone and there's tough calls sometimes and people don't like it. What I do to energize myself, if I'm really feeling, go and spend time with our staff who are doing client work.
Right. Yeah.
And
get back out the front.
Get back out to the front.
Yeah.
And it's a great reminder about why you're here. Because sometimes it can just feel like you're dealing with everyday stuff and you forget. But those are really empowering, refreshing, and give you the next leap that you need to do what you need to do.
Dale, it's been a delight. Thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. Thank you to Dale Cleaver, CEO of Guide Dogs ACT in New South Wales, for a great conversation.